Hey YouTube, Carl Ellwein here. Ellwein Engines. Tech Tuesday today. It's engine building tools. I'm going to get right to the point right now. We have 5 must-have tools for engine building. These tools you cannot live without. You need these to build an engine. I have 5 should-have, but not essential, engine building tools. You could probably put an engine together without these tools, but you're going to want them anyway. And I have 5 nice to have, but not essential, engine building tools. I'll talk about these and more right after the break. All right, welcome back. Starting right off the bat, the 5 must-have tools for engine building. Let me get right to it, and I'll explain after I go through the list of 5. These are in order of importance. Torque wrench, tapered ring compressor installer, piston ring compressor, plasti gauge, which I don't have, so I inserted a tool you don't need, which is a dial bore gauge and micrometer, impact wrench, and piston ring filing tool. All right, torque wrench is #1 essential. You've got to torque your mains and your head bolt. I selected a 3/8 drive, which is sort of middle of the road. It has a range of 20 foot-pounds to 100 foot-pounds. You could wrench on the like an 80 foot-pound main studs with these, or head studs. Usually head bolts are 70 foot-pounds, ARP 70 foot-pounds. Stock mains are 77 foot-pounds for the spec. So it'll just take a lot of arm strength when you're torquing on these. Next, #2, you're going to need something for compressing the rings while you're installing the pistons. And I made this essential. This is somewhat costly, what, 20, 30 bucks, but it is specified for only one size. This one is the 4.030, very common. But trust me, it'll make installing the pistons and compressing the rings a joy, so much easier. You can get the generic one if you have all kinds of different sizes of engines that you're building. You're basically not in the market for this Tech Tuesday with essential tools for engine building. You've already got plenty of them. But if you're building just one type of engine, you're rebuilding your engine, borrow a friend's if you can. Borrow as much as possible. But the tapered ring compressing tool. 3rd is plasti gauge, and I put that on there as essential because you do need to know what your bearing clearance is, your rod bearing and your main bearing clearance. And one way to do that that's very accurate is plasti gauge, and it's very cheap. It's very affordable. Get the range from 0.001 to 0.003. Get that range. That's all you'll need. So in place of plasti gauge, I have a more expensive dial bore gauge. I think this cost about $300. This one's not American made, stare it, but it's made in Japan. You can, and also, in place of that, you need to know your journal sizes. Plasti gauge replaces all of this, and it is just as accurate. And that's not a controversial thing to say. It is just as accurate. Check out Papadakis Racing. Google search that. He does a really good expose and a good YouTube video on, is plasti gauge as accurate as $1,000 engine building tool, the bore gauge. Okay, number 4. You need an impact wrench. You probably already have one for your general hardware, general carpentry tools. But you need this. It'll make your engine building a joy because all the fasteners will come out quickly and they'll get initially run in a lot quicker. These are a dime a dozen nowadays. Make sure you get the impact and not a drill. And number 5, the piston ring filing tool. Let me talk a little bit about this. You could get by without one of these. Well, why do I say that? Custom ring filing, custom gaps is not an essential thing for an engine build. Premium rings are available in pre-gapped. So they'll be at the small side, like say 18 thou for the top ring. But if it's a street build, go with the pre-gapped. Double check what your gap is. And if you do need to file, you can always borrow someone's or get one of the more affordable ring filers. And if you do get a set where it's custom ring filing, well, you're stuck filing them. So that's it. 5 must-have engine building tools: torque wrench, tapered ring compressor, plasti gauge, impact wrench, and ring filing tool. All right, welcome back. The 5 should have, but not essential, engine building tools. Number 1, disposable gloves. Gloves not only keep your hands clean, but they keep the engine clean. They keep the parts clean. Change them out frequently. This goes unsaid. Gloves. All right, number 2 is a hub puller installer. You can do it in 2 parts, or this is turned out to be one of the most sturdy, long-lasting hub pullers, and it works for gears. It works for many hubs. Strong and sturdy. The Posi-Lock model 104, made in USA. You need to get the hubs or dampers on too. It's sort of, you could make your own threaded rod and a nut and a spacer. Could do that. This is 7/16, 20 threads per inch for the small block Chevy snout. Like a big block Chevy, 1/2 inch. You'll need that. You could borrow, like from a parts store, a hub installer puller. But that is a should have, but not essential, because you can borrow this. Next, we have the hammer. A hammer is going to be needed. You might not need to buy one, but of course, you're going to have to hammer the freeze plugs and use like a socket or something to hammer those on. Don't ever hammer a freeze plug on in the center part, because it kind of distorts it, bends it in. So, hammer on the edges of freeze plugs. Should have, but not essential, is a cam bearing install tool. I'll get to why it's not essential. This is turned out to be, over the years, my go-to. It's one of the more affordable ones. A link will be in the description. It's not essential because most of the time you could have the machine shop install your cam bearings for you. That's why. And the feeler gauge. You're going to need this. This will help you know what your piston to wall clearance is. Like say if the spec is 0.0025, you find the 0.0025 and slide it in between the piston and the bore, and you'll be able to tell. This will let you know thrust bearing. This will let you actually know the rod side clearance. Let's say the spec is 18 thou or 20 thou, whatever it is. Let's say it ends up being 20 thou. you'll know the spec. But also when you're torquing the rods, you'll need to kind of brace it, the two that are on the rod journal. I watched Warren Johnson on a TV show once where he said this is always needed. So stick that in between them, do your torquing of your rod bolts. This is a should have, it's not essential. Okay, I'm back with the third and final category. And that category is 5 engine building tools, there's a cat out there, that are nice to have, but they're definitely not essential. I'm going to start off. Number 1 is air conditioner / heater. You need comfort, enough said. Number 2, internet search. That's what you need for getting the tech specs, the torque, the gasket sizes, parts. You're going to need the internet. I mean, why do I say that? Well, in the past, I'm old enough to where I built some engines and I didn't have the internet. So I had the shop manual. All right, number 3, a hydraulic cart, which right here. I did not, in any of these lists, mention the engine stand that you usually see. Those are affordable. They're from 80 to 150 bucks. But if you have a choice, if you don't have an engine stand yet, get the lift cart first before you get an engine stand, because this can be used for so many other things. Getting the engine off the truck, getting it up to the table. You can slide it up onto your toolbox and work on it there where it's close to your, just easier, ergonomical. Get the one that lifts as high as possible. They don't have to be big. What you can do with this lift cart in place of an engine stand is, like say you're working on the rotating assembly. This thing will be upside down, the block will be upside down on here. Work on the rotating assembly, install it. If it's moving around on you, you can always C-clamp it to the cart. Get some shipping cradle and install that on it while it's upside down. Then you can put this thing back up on the top. The rotating assembly is not hitting the bottom. Work on the heads. A cart and a lift cart. It's nice to have. Of course it's not essential. You could just manhandle this stuff. You have a cherry picker because you're working on an engine, you got it out of your car, so the cherry picker can move your stuff around, put it on your toolbox. Do it the same way. All right, number 4, I'm looking at my list. Microfiber cloth, cleaning cloths. I say this on purpose. The microfiber cleaning cloth is not entirely lint-free, but it makes less lint than a paper towel, and they're sturdier, more absorbent. They're affordable nowadays. I've been getting Amazon Basics microfiber cleaning cloth. If you're on a run to Harbor Freight and they have them on sale, grab a bunch of them. I keep them in a drawer here. I always keep a stock of them. Number 5, and last but not least, a pressure washer with hot water. So if you already have a pressure washer and it doesn't have hot water, well, get the source of hot water from your house. Get some adapters. Hot water is important. If you don't have a pressure washer right now, when you do buy one, consider the type that'll heat the water. Washing a block with cold tap water is not the same as hot steaming water. You think it might cost you in electricity for your hot water heater or gas hot water heater, but it's worth it. What if it's $5 of electricity? Hot water with your pressure washer. Okay, gang, thanks for sticking with me. Okay, gang, thanks for sticking with me on this Tech Tuesday, Essential Engine Building Tools. Once again, we had 5 essential engine building tools. You can't live without them. That was the torque wrench, the tapered piston ring compressor, the plastic gauge, impact wrench, and piston ring filing tool. 5 should have engine building tools, but not essential. Disposable gloves, hub puller installer, a hammer, cam bearing installation tool, and feeler gauge. And then 5 nice to have, but not essential: air conditioner, heater, internet, hydraulic lift cart, microfiber cleaning cloth, and pressure washer with hot water. That's it for today. That's it for this Tech Tuesday. Thanks for sticking with me, and take care. You're going to need a shop manual. You're going to need to know torque specs, right? Well, we have Siri today. We have the internet. So I included number 2 as the internet. All right. And the final category, the 3